In 1992, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, SETI, at the Arecibo telescope, radio telescope, intercepted a transmission, actually two transmissions from space. Friendly extraterrestrials giving us a hybridized formula for a methane gas that would solve all of our energy needs, and the second being a formula of how to modify our DNA to incorporate theirs. Now that is some friendly extraterrestrials that actually want to mingle physically. Or are they friendly? Or was it meant to be? Having watched the sequel to this a few days ago and finding the original available, I thought I would go and revisit it. Incredible tale of Natasha Henstridge, Michelle Williams, Ben Kingsley, Forrest Whitaker, Marge Helgenberger, 1995, Species. At the time that I saw this movie originally, I had no idea who Michelle Williams was. She's very young in this movie. She plays the young version of the creature before it goes into a chrysalis stage and emerges as Natasha Henstridge. I hadn't heard of her until later into the 2000s and other films and stuff. Of course, Marge Helgenberger would go on. She'd be in the sequel to this. She would also be in CSI. Forrest Whitaker. There's a ton of people in here. Ben Kingsley. It's an interesting science fiction horror flick. This is the genre of the Species films. This first one, we get this insight that the extraterrestrials had sent this transmission. It's interesting that solving all of our potential energy needs is barely touched upon within the story. And you would think that that technology would be getting applied in some fashion, but in good governmental conspiratorial manner. Instead, they have moved on to the next phase, isolating the experiment and beginning with the hybridization of human and extraterrestrial without knowing the outcome, without knowing what the dangers could be, without knowing anything at all, just doing it because they're able to do it, because they have been poked across the infinite cosmic divide. They have been poked by a stick by an extraterrestrial entity of Lord only knows what type or level of intelligence, kindness, or malevolence. But hey, we'll just let the genie out of the bottle and start making wishes and hope that it all works out for the best. And it never does, somehow. Having to recruit a special team to track the creature once it gets loose during an abortive procedure to try to abort the experiment and attempt to gas the girl while she's still young. She escapes from the lab and a team is assembled of various experts, an empath who can kind of read minds and sense things, scientist, researcher, and hitman. Well, mercenary, the guy who finds stuff and mostly people, or as he describes it, I've never been asked to find anything that the intention was to keep it alive. It manages to be optimistic in some places. The young girl escapes. She finds help in strange places. A woman on the train who's supposed to be collecting tickets, who looks the other way that she's traveling alone, charges her half price because we'll pretend that you're 11 or younger. Very nice and friendly, and you hate to see her killed, but she will be killed by the creature while it's in chrysalis stage. And a lot of people who otherwise might be wanting to take advantage of a strange alien woman in Natasha Henstridge's body who was kind of wandering around aimlessly, for the most part, people end up being pulled in and victimized by their niceness. There is one guy who really has it coming when he gets killed, and that is thoroughly enjoyable. Making her escape across the country, being pursued by the special team, she makes her way to LA, which has got to be the most amusing part of the whole film. When the panel of experts chasing her, someone says, "This is LA. This is LA, the city of the future, where nobody knows anybody, nobody talks to each other. There's nothing that's taboo, and anything goes. We're never going to find an extraterrestrial in here." Her wandering around in LA, there's very little that she can do that's weird enough, strange enough, or even taboo enough She could, in the words of Dennis Leary, strip naked and rub her body down with green jello and run down the street, and that will barely get anyone's attention in Los Angeles, such is the nature of modernity and the city of decadence and depravity. Ultimately, she is on a mission, our alien hybrid, to reproduce, and it is clear that this is, well, I shouldn't say that. It appears to be that it is a genetic weapon intended to transplant their species here, or at least to destroy our biome. This is inconsistent with the sequel, which will indicate that Mars was such destroyed at one time in the past. It could actually be, we don't know, we're left to hypothesize, the methane hybridization might have been something they wanted us to be able to produce because maybe they need that for their atmosphere. Maybe they're gonna, long term, the plan is to completely not terraform, but whatever alien world environment form our planet to meet their needs. Or maybe it's just meant to wipe us out. We have all these unanswered questions and all of this uncertainty. But the grotesqueness and hideousness of the creature, the hybrid baby when it runs amok with its evil tongue and it's eating rats and attacking people, the whole mystery of is it eliminated at the end, which is, you always end a good horror movie, whether it's sci-fi horror or not, you leave a little bit of that suspense. Definitely we get the idea that something has survived down there. We're not sure what the outcome was of her death or the child she produced. Nevertheless, though, in the sequel, we get no connection directly to that, which would be interesting to see if it comes up in 3 or 4 now that I know that they exist. But in good science fiction horror fashion, we have all the grotesqueness and the specific aspect of wanting to hybrid and therefore breed among humans, and it adds a level of suspense, horror, and graphicness, because there's something particularly disturbing beyond violence with sexual violence and people being pulled into an encounter with the creature through sexuality, sometimes having sexual contact before being killed by the creature. This really makes it a next level sort of horror, sci-fi, violence, and gore fest. But it is really well done. It is, Species 1 and 2 so far I can comment on. They're really well done within that genre. It's hard to be too original in view of things like Alien and other franchises, having a grotesque alien on the loose that you're trying to destroy. I mean, this is the stuff of the thing, and in the Arctic this stuff is out there as sort of a theme within sci-fi horror genre. It is sort of the go-to thing, but they do it really, really well. All of it is performed very well, it's delivered very well, and it's very entertaining if you're in the mood for a sci-fi horror flick that is graphic in places, mildly amusing in others, and always some suspense. This is a great franchise so far, and this is one to go to. Species 1 and 2 at least that I've seen of the franchise. Check them out. I love them. Let me know what you think. Watch them well before bedtime so you don't have nightmares, because they're good enough that they will cause that. We'll see you next time.